Adesina Koiki back here at Madison Square Garden for Big East Men's and Women's Basketball Media Day, continuing with the Villanova Wildcats on the women's side. Villanova, obviously the most popular team so far on a lot of sports talk in terms of our men's and women's Media Day coverage, and we are talking with Katherine Coyer of the Villanova Wildcats. First of all, Katherine, thank you so very much for joining us, and how are you liking it, New York City and Media Day for a second time, I believe, correct?
It's awesome. It's always exciting to be here, so we're just really glad to be back again.
Last season, 22 wins, 12-6 in the Big East Conference. What were some of the biggest highlights for you and for the team last year? What are the things that you remember about last year's team in a positive light?
Well, last year's team was really memorable because we had 3 seniors that were really big parts of the team, not just from a basketball standpoint, but from a social standpoint. As far as basketball goes, I mean, there were a couple of key games which really brought us together as a team. I think that our initial win over DePaul, I think that we were definitely not favored to win that game. So that was really fun, sort of rallying together as a team. And then a couple of the wins that we had in the WNIT tournament really helped boost our morale and just come together as a team, which was really awesome. And I don't know, I don't really have any complaints.
What does it mean, or what did it mean to you when you knock off the top team in the league in a DePaul, a team that made it to the NCAA tournament, won a game in the NCAA tournament last year, Sweet 16 a couple of years ago? What does it mean when you go up against the league's best and are able to knock them off?
I mean, it means a lot just in terms of coming together as a team, but also just knowing that we have that in us and we have that capability of beating some teams that people maybe don't think that we can. And it sort of gives us a lot of confidence going into this year, knowing that, you know, we have that in us, and it just like furthers our expectations of going to the NCAA tournament, knowing that we can beat teams like that, and even Seton Hall, like we came really close with them a couple times, and teams like that do go to the tournament knowing that we can get there too. So it's just a big motivational factor for us.
Do you believe this conference is deeper than it was maybe last year or a couple of years ago, with DePaul still being what DePaul is, Seton Hall making the tournament, St. John's being so close, you being so close? Do you believe this conference is even deeper and is as deep as at any point in your Villanova career?
Well, I think that when the Big East sort of split up, our conference lost a lot of clout and a lot of respect just within the NCAA. And I think that having teams like DePaul and Seton Hall sort of come up and prove themselves, not just in the Big East, but from a more national standpoint, has been really beneficial for our conference. And having teams like Seton Hall, who maybe didn't have as big of an impact in the old Big East, coming up and really performing really well in the new Big East, stuff like that really helps us as a conference and puts us more on a national scale, which is where we obviously want to get back to. I think that that definitely deepens the conference, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily back to where it was with the old Big East, just because you had the Louisville and the Notre Dame and the UConns. But I think that we're working our way back up there, which is really exciting.
Outside of just trying to be and maintain your position at the top of the Big East standings, do you almost feel as if you're in this battle in terms of having the perception change a little bit nationally? Do you feel that tangibly, the perception of the Big East not being what it was then? And do you feel that when you play and other teams play?
A little bit, just because in the old Big East we might not have been necessarily contending for a conference championship, because I mean realistically teams like UConn, we just didn't really have a chance against them prior, but really having that chance to win a title as conference champions sort of like motivates us a lot, and I think that just makes things a lot more exciting. And the Big East is so competitive now. I mean, before you had like the top 2 or 3 teams, and then you just kind of had the rest of them, whereas now you have anyone could beat anyone on any given day. I think that we saw that a lot last year. There were some upsets that people didn't expect, but that happened far more often than anyone expected, and I think that's really exciting about the Big East, is that you never really know, like, games could always go either way, and it keeps people on their toes and keeps things really exciting.
What's better for a league, having the juggernauts at the top and having it maybe be more pear-shaped at the bottom, or the competitive balance from top to near the bottom of the league?
I think from a player standpoint, I like where it is now, just knowing that every single game is going to be competitive. You're not going to have as many of those games where you're blowing out a team. Every game's much more competitive and just means a lot more in terms of where you're standing within the conference. But on the other hand, I mean, we may have finished lower in the conference and still made the tournament in the old Big East just because it held so much more clout. But now, we finished third last year and we didn't make the NCAA tournament, which was a huge disappointment. But I don't know, it kind of goes back and forth. I like where we're at now because it's really exciting. Every single game, you get really hyped for every single game, which is really awesome. Not that we didn't before, but there were those games that you were like, all right, like, let's just go do it.
Your numbers improved across the board, at least the main numbers, the points and the rebounds and the assists, and you were did very well from behind the arc as well. How did you improve your game from 2013, 2014 to last season, and how do you think your game will improve from this past season to next season, which is coming up soon?
I think just with getting older, you just have a lot more confidence in what you're doing. From my sophomore season to my junior season, Caroline was really our only natural point guard, so I had to sort of take on that role as her backup when she wasn't in the game, which wasn't really something I wanted to have to do, but something when you're part of a team, you just fill the role you need to fill. So I worked a lot on my ball handling and just being more assertive as an offensive player because defense has sort of been my comfort zone. And then just going into my senior season, I'm at the point where I know what I'm good at. What I'm not good at, I'm probably not going to get much better on. It's my last year. So just sort of asserting myself as a leader and capitalizing on the things that I know I can do all to help my team.
Does Caroline give you grief that she is the older sister by a wide margin of 180 seconds?
Well, yes, just because everyone thinks I'm older. Just by interacting with both of us, everyone's like, "Oh, Catherine's the older one." Not that anyone could really tell because it's 3 minutes, but apparently that means something to some people. So she likes to give me grief just because I'm definitely more responsible than she is.
In what way?
Or you name it. Financially, let's go there. Financially, big time. Yeah, she was in $350 in debt to me up until 2 months ago. So.
Okay, and where did that debt come from? What was it?
She wanted to redo her room. So I financed it for her.
You financed it?
You know what? I really should have charged interest. I don't know why I didn't do that, but I definitely should have. She's currently in $38 of debt to me, so.
38.
38.
Okay, not $38.10, 38 on the dot.
You see, I could have done that. I actually kept all the receipts from when she was in the almost $400. I literally kept all the receipts. I actually just threw them out the other day. Yeah, it was terrible, but who knows? Maybe she'll go overseas and make a lot of money someday, and I'll be in debt to her. Who knows?
Okay, and so if she holds it over you that she is the older sister, you hold it over her that you're just more responsible, period.
Person, so. No, I'm kidding.
For a second,
No, don't call her over here.
We can if you want. Where is she? I see her over there. She's hiding over there? Okay. The more responsible Coyer, Katherine Coyer, thank you so very much for joining us.
You're so very welcome.
Yes, best of luck and success to you and the Wildcats in 2015-2016.
Thank you so much.